Hello, everyone in the Empowered Soul Network. I am here with Wanda Malhotra. She is founder of the Crunchy Mama Box. Wanda, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Sondra.
I'm so happy to have you here. Wanda, tell me about being an author. You shared with me before we started our recording that you were a published author. I want to hear about this.
So this book, Women in Wellness, is a book of 35 interviews that I chose from 400 interviews of women in wellness that really impacted me. And I like to say this a lot. I interviewed 400 women. All the stories were beautiful and very impactful, but these are the ones that resonated with me personally. And that's why I chose these 35 women that are in various fields. Either they're nurses or health coaches or life coaches or even CEOs of very successful companies. But their trajectories were just incredible. And I believe that this book and their stories can inspire women all over the world to pursue their dreams and to go after their mission, their purpose in life. So that's why I published this book. It's my first book. And this was my editor at Authority Magazine really, really pushed me to do this because I thought, I said to him, I don't think this book, it's meaningful to me, but will it be meaningful to other people? Will other people even buy this book? And believe it or not, my books are selling. These I sell on my website, on Amazon, and they're selling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like who's buying this? I know who's buying the book on my website, but I don't know on Amazon because they don't tell you who's like purchasing, who your customers are. And I'm like just dreaming at night, like who is buying and how is this impacting their life? How is this inspiring them? I keep thinking about this all the time. So I'm happy that I did something that is meaningful to other people too.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Tell us about Crunchy Mama Box. What is that all about?
So Crunchy Mama Box started as a subscription box, and then we migrated it to a wellness platform. And in this wellness platform, what I tried to do with my team is we tried to bring in wellness resources, products that are tested and approved by our wellness teams, health coaches, so that people don't have to, spend all that time and money testing products and saying, oh, this is greenwashing, this doesn't work, or, it's all natural, but it doesn't perform the way it should. So we do that. And we also write a lot. So I'm a journalist and an author as well. So we bring in a lot of rich content to educate people on ingredients, certifications, sustainable practices, so composting, recycling, and just, everything from sustainability to well-being, mental health, health and wellness, coaching, assisting people on their health journey, because it's a journey for all of us, right? Even though I've been in this field for over 30 years, every day I'm learning something new. Every day, I'm like, oh, I didn't know this. Oh my gosh, I need to study more about this or research, because it's a journey and we're always learning something new. We're always adding something to improve our health and well-being. So I love that we're creating a community that's joining us in our journey, and then we're joining them in their journeys. So it's more of a community than really like we call it a platform because that's what people understand, but I feel like it's a community of families. It's not just, it's although the name is Crunchy Mama, we have men, women, like all genders in our community, because it's just people looking to live a healthier life.
Mhm. Where did that passion come from for you? I can feel that like the strong desire and passion in you.
Right. It's a passion since I was little. I was basically raised by my grandmothers who were from Italian descent. So in Brazil, in São Paulo, Brazil, and my great grandmother, she loved to cook. So she cooked from scratch. And not only did she like to cook from scratch, she liked to have her garden. So we had our, vegetable garden, and everything was planted from scratch. And I learned how to cook with her. I learned how to love nature, animals. Like animal rescuing was something I mean, I didn't even know this name, animal rescuing, but I was picking up animals wherever I went when I was little, like 5 years old, bringing, stray dogs home. I brought a mouse home once. And, I love animals. I love nature. This is what feeds my soul. So if I can be around, people that are, with the same energy as me, and then animals who, most animals have the energy we need, right, to fulfill our soul, our just, it's so healthy mentally and physically to have animals around you, because they just shower you with unconditional love, and they're so pure and funny, and everything that you need to be in like high spirit, you have with animals. And the same comes with cooking, family, your children. They can drive you crazy sometimes, but at the same time they fulfill you. They give you that, love that is also unconditionally until they become teenagers. I like to joke a little bit about that, like unconditional love until you become a teenager. Then there's a lot of conditional love. But then it changes again. Like I have two adult children. I have one that's 22 and one that's 19. And my 22-year-old and my 19-year-old now, we're like, we hang out, we talk about things, we're friends. And then I have a little one that's 7, and she's in that phase, the unconditional love phase. So love notes all day long. I love you, mom. You're the best. You're the most beautiful. You're everything to me. And it's just, I love that. And then my adult children that we really, connect in a different way, because they're adults now. They're in the, working and studying and, building their future. So I am very passionate about everything wellness. And when I say wellness, it's a holistic wellness. It's not just going to the spa, going to the yoga class. It's the way you live your life. And to me, if you're living within, your values, and you're not sacrificing anything that you believe, you're in a good path, to wellness. And we're not always, de-stressed and zen. Life throws a lot of a lot of surprises to us. And if you can be well balanced enough to deal with the struggles and turn obstacles into opportunities, I think that that's the best way to protect your health and to protect yourself during this journey. That life is too short for us to not live it the best way we can, right? So that's what I try to do with, my personal life, with my business, and I talk a lot.
No, it's so funny you talk about how when they become teenagers, kids become teenagers, and all of a sudden the unconditional love is gone. I have a 7-year-old too, and she I don't know where she got this. She must have a friend with a teenager or something, because she comes home one day and she goes to her sister. She's like, she's becoming a teenager, which she's not yet. But she's becoming a teenager, and teenagers are sus. But it's, that unconditional love is something that I think is so profound.
Yes.
And I'm curious, how do you relate to that when it comes to giving unconditional love to yourself?
That's a tough one. It's a tough question. It sounds like it's easy, but I believe that as moms, as parents, even, dads, sometimes we give so much of ourselves to our families, to our work, to our house, to our friends, and we forget about ourselves. And that's something that I'm on a very like intense journey to change, because I want to give myself the love that I deserve so I can also support, everyone around me. And if you don't love yourself first, and that it's not being selfish, it's not, people sometimes confused, like, oh, if I'm doing something for myself, I'm being selfish. Or, if I say like self-love, it can be a little bit of a taboo to say, even like, oh, I practice self-love. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, are you conceited? Are you just thinking about yourself? No, it's taking care of yourself is just as important as taking care of your kids, of your husband, your spouse, your friends, your work, your job, or your business, because they won't function without you being well. Once you're not well, everything, it imbalances your whole structure. So I, I try to say this, the people that tell me, oh, but that's being selfish. I'm like, no, let's look at the other point of view, because it's not, like, if you're not looking at yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself first, how are you going to take care of everything else? You're not going to have the right mindset to do it. So that's a shift that for me is hard, because I've always been called selfless, and oh, you think about others first, you're always doing, everything for everyone, and you forget about yourself. But I did burn down because of that. You get to this burnout that you look at it and say, am I going to make a radical change, or am I going to continue, being unkind to myself, to my body, to my health? No, you have to be kind to yourself so you can be kind to others, right?
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Beautifully said. Is that for your journey into this Crunchy Mama box? I know you said you've been into wellness your whole life, starting with your
Yes.
grandmother's. Were there some pivotal moments for you along the way, though, that made that interest into something that was more a must for you?
Yes. So I mean, I've been immersed in this crunchy lifestyle, right? With, my mom was super hippie, and but she overworked herself. I didn't really grow up with my mother, because I mean, I lived in the same household, but she was always all over the place and traveling and, working. So my grandmother, they grounded me a lot. And they taught me a lot of the values that I carry with myself today, like family values and, like all this, like the love, the self-love, because they were very generous, like with their time, with their dedication to me. And they taught me that you can do something that you love, and you don't have to sacrifice your health or your values and do something that you don't love. So I started my journey actually helping my mother. Like, she was in a terrible financial situation by the time I graduated high school. So I couldn't go, I couldn't leave Brazil to go to college. I couldn't do that to her, because I had a younger brother that is 9 years old younger than me, and he was a child when I was 18, right? He was 9 and I was 18. So I had to stay, and I said, I have my grandmothers, they're my responsibility. I thought, when I became an adult, 18, I thought they're my responsibility now, because they took care of me. So I stayed in Brazil, and then I became a business partner with my mother in our, like, new venture, which was henna-based hair color.
Oh,
And that, because of my father, who's from India, also I learned a lot from my father, like Ayurveda and stuff. But my dad, he left Brazil when I was 6. So that's why I was raised by my grandmother, because my father was so far away, and we didn't have, internet and everything. Long distance calling was super expensive in the 1980s. So I was like, okay, so I didn't have my father, but I did have what he taught me about, like ginger and turmeric were staples in my house. And we always incorporated in the Italian cooking, which has nothing to do with turmeric and ginger, but we found a way to incorporate. So I loved cooking. And then, so then I started working with my mother, and this was a plant-based, hair color, and it involved a lot of education. So I had to educate people on how a plant-based hair color that's 100% natural, that's all powder, and you have to mix and make a mess, is good for you, instead of just using a normal chemical, like conventional dye. So that started with my passion, started with with the education field, because I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. I can actually teach people something. At 18, 19, that's when I started working. I was working full time and then going to school at night for college. I was like, I can actually teach people. So and people were interested, and I was applying, the hair color on people's. In Brazil, you don't have to be a licensed hair colorist to color people's hair. So I was going to people's houses, and I was like the henna girl. Oh, the henna girl is coming. She's gonna color your hair. So I did that for 22 years. And then I burnt out because I was working too much. I was young. I didn't know, like, I had a period of time where I stopped. I had to stop during these two, in the between the 22 years. Like, I was from 18 to 28. Then when I was 28, I burned out. And I decided to just, take a break, take care of my children. By the time I was 28, I had two children, ages, like newborn and 2 years old. And then when my kids, started growing up, my daughter was already in daycare. The school where they were in, they were like, "Oh, why don't you come and teach?" And I was like, "I can't teach." And but that's what you did before with the henna. Now you're going to teach kids. So I went back to school. I got another, I was working there, and I was teaching just English. I wasn't teaching like as a teacher because I wasn't licensed yet. So I had to go back to school to get, like all the education for that. And I loved working with children, and I just loved teaching them. And I felt like I was like incorporating everything that I learned, for like wellness into them. So I could pick the themes that I could teach. So I had from Monday through Friday, I had one day was nature. I don't remember the days, but like let's say Monday was nature, Tuesday was nutrition, and then Wednesday we did like, fit body. So we worked like I did yoga with them. I did meditation. And these are like 3-year-old children, and they're doing meditation, and we're cooking, and I'm doing cooking classes in the classroom. Nothing, like raw vegan, nothing crazy, because I know like there were lots of, like food restrictions, dietary restrictions. But I created this like content for them, and the parents were like, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" And because of my background in business, I would create these like PowerPoint presentations during our meetings, and I was like, "Okay, this is how your child is developing the taste buds, and and the nature and the meditation and the and they were like, "We have never seen this, like a teacher like this for a 3-year-old." So that was my process with the kids. But then I went back to the business. Unfortunately, I cried like crazy when I had to leave the kids, but I had to go back and help my mother because she was very like unstable, and she was like, "You have to come back. The business is suffering without you." And I said, "Okay, I'm coming back." But in 2016, when I had my third child, I left for good. And I said, "No, now I need to go solo. I need to do something on my own, that I'm passionate about, and that I can do the way that I always dreamed of." Because when you're working with your mother or with family, it's hard. It's not easy because you have to compromise a lot. And I just going solo was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I created, the Crunchy Mama Box platform, and it's been growing organically. And our YouTube channel started with, like one subscriber, like my friend who subscribed. We have over 3,000 subscribers now. The Facebook group started with a group of friends. We're growing. So I think it's just we're growing organically because people more and more are looking for ways to feel better, right? To feel, how can I connect with like-minded people? How can I feel better about my health, about my, mental health, especially because when you're a parent, it can be very lonely when you have a newborn, when you have, when you're a stay-at-home mom sometimes, or even if you work and are like a working mom, you come home to sometimes, so many chores, so many things to do. And it's hard, even if you have an amazing spouse, it can be hard for both, right?
Yeah.
So our group supports families, we support each other. And I get support too from this group. I'm not like, the one that supports everyone all the time. Sometimes, like the other day, my dogs got sprayed by skunks, and I was like, please, in the groups, I need a natural way to get this smell out because I've done everything. And all the moms, everyone pitching in and saying, oh, try this and baking soda and blah, 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 like all natural solutions. So I love this. And that's why I think I'm passionate about it, because I am finally doing something that I love 100%. And when I feel like I'm, overworking myself now, I think at 48 years old, I have the maturity to know when to stop and take care of myself and then continue, on the journey. And I have a team now that supports me also, and I support them. Like one of our team members, their family got sick, and one of the family members got sick, and we were like, you go, take this time that you need. Don't stress over, oh, but the work. And we all, joined forces and said, let's do what he is doing. And,
Yeah.
and community for me is really important.
Yeah. Invaluable. We don't, why do we want to do this alone? There's no reason to do it alone.
Right.
Wanda, what does, we're here in the Empowered Soul Network, right? I like to ask this question. What is an empowered soul to you?
Empowered soul to me is someone who deep inside can feel that they are allowed to go deeper into what they're feeling, what they're, like their connections, and really improve themselves, and know that they are empowered to do better. They are empowered to follow a path that they dream of, that they want to. That's what I understand by empowered soul is, that that you're here in this world for a higher purpose, and you embrace that. You don't just cover it, because sometimes we feel like, oh, I have these dreams, I have these things that I want to do, but then you cover it because that you have responsibilities and you have bills to pay and you have this. But when you empower your soul, that means that you can even have a full-time job and do something on the side, but your purpose and you are ready to embrace it and to fulfill those dreams, no matter when or how. And, but the why, and you will follow your why throughout your life, throughout your journey. So that's what empowered soul means to me, I hope. I know a lot of people have different interpretations, but
There's no
that's what
wrong
I think.
interpretation as far as
Right.
I'm concerned. The power of purpose is what I hear,
Yes.
and that willingness to follow through on that. You seem like somebody who, once they've made up their mind, you don't stop, and you will go after what you are called to do. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say. It drives my husband crazy sometimes. He's like, you won't stop, won't you? You're stubborn. He calls it stubbornness. I call it passion, and that I can't give up until I know that I've done my part. Either it's helping the planet, helping someone, and I will drop everything to help someone that, needs my help. I love doing that. It makes me happier to help someone else than to help myself, which is something I'm working on, because I have to help myself. But it just makes me so happy when I know that, I've done something for someone. And I don't know, maybe this is what fulfills my soul, right? This is what empowers my soul, to know that I can be, useful for someone that needs me. So
Beautiful. How can people connect with you? We're going to obviously tag you in the links and so forth, but is there anything you want to share with the video?
Sure. So our website is crunchymamabox.com, and our email contact at crunchymamabox.com. And on our website, there's a lot of ways to connect with us, either through social media. My phone number is there. You can call me if you have questions about ingredients or anything. Like, we don't sell pots and pans, for example, but people ask me in the group, so what pots and pans do you use at home that are not toxic, that are safe for kids? And, I'm starting to make like the soup and vegetables for my babies. So look, I'm happy to talk. I love talking to people, and I love when people call me. I'm happy to, answer and just, let's exchange, our knowledge, our experiences and grow together, right? So contact me if you want to.
That's awesome. I love that. That exchange, that collaboration, that growth together is just to me so invaluable. So I love that you ended with that.
I agree. Thank you so much for having me, Sondra.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Wanda. I really appreciate you joining us and sharing with us all. Everybody, if you want to connect with Wanda, we will post her links in the comments below and look forward to seeing more of you.
Thank you. And I look forward to following more of your amazing talks with all these beautiful people you're bringing in. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.